I'm Ruth, and welcome to Inspired Questions, where I have meaningful conversations with women about how they navigate life's ups and downs, or share on my own about what's on my mind. Today I'm talking with Dot Rock, and Dot is an HR strategist, a CFO, and the host of the Power of Oxygen First podcast. You can check out her podcast, which I have been on, and I'm so excited that she was on mine as well. And the most amazing thing is she is someone who has genuinely lived the message she teaches. I know you're going to love this one. Hi, Dot. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your podcast now.
I know. It's like the second of a series because Dot welcomed me onto her podcast, The Power of Oxygen First.
Yeah.
And it was such a great conversation. So I'm so glad that you are now here doing it again.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that was awesome. You were like the perfect fit for the Power of Vision First podcast. And I'm just so grateful to have met you through the Monarch community. How great.
So tell my listeners a little bit about who Dot Rock is.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, I think I always identify first as a mother. I'm a solo parent to a 13-year-old boy. And I have my own business, mostly that was driven by wanting to be kind of like this combination of a stay-at-home parent with super flexibility, but also running a badass business. So my background, is in I became a CPA in
Mm-hmm.
college and got a job with KPMG, huge accounting firm, doing financial statement auditing. And very similarly to you with your introduction to social work, the work was hard. The work was, I would say, something that was in my zone of excellence that I could
Mm-hmm.
do and I was good at, but it was not my zone of genius. It actually really, really drained me. And of course, public accounting, even in the audit world, not even just the tax world, the hours back when I did them 20 years ago were extremely grueling. It wasn't uncommon to have 80, 90-hour work weeks,
Oh wow.
to not sleep in your bed for weeks at a time, to stay on client jobs all around the world, right? So, um, that's where things started for me in my business world, was this
Mm-hmm.
CPA hat. And what I loved about it was going to the CFOs, going to the CEOs, and talking about the year that we were auditing, which was always the year in arrears, right? And
Mm-hmm.
understanding how the big picture of what had happened and what was about to happen was the story behind the numbers, which really
Interesting.
meant I liked the people, right?
Yeah.
So I left public accounting after I had a really very similar moment to your moment of like, this is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking to work one day, and first of all, the office building that I worked in when I wasn't out at a client had no windows.
Oh
That
my
is
gosh.
not conducive to the way that my energy functions. I need light. I
Yep.
need a lot of light, and then at night, I need no light so that I can actually sleep. So, I'm in this spreadsheet world. I'm stuck in an office building without light. Auditors get stuck in like broom closets and the worst of the worst when we audit places and they're cold and the conditions were just not healthy. And I remember walking to work that day and thinking, gosh, I hope that tree falls down and smashes me so I can not go to work today.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, whoa, that was awfully dark.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was depressed. I just was unhappy. I just was not in alignment. It wasn't complete and utter burnout. It wasn't like this deep exhaustion. Like we always hear about burnout and exhaustion, but it was more like misalignment for my soul. It wasn't my work.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
at the time I went home, talked to my husband and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he had a great job. And so we decided I would quit and that I would start my own business and I would start flying airplanes more. That's when I first started my private pilot license. and that
Oh,
was something
wow.
I'm passionate about. I had said after college I would go get my commercial flying license, but then I didn't actually want to be a commercial pilot, so I hadn't done that. But I stepped kind of into this passion-led world. And then after that, I ended up being CFO of multiple companies and always overseeing HR, which then led to I actually like HR better. It's because
Mm,
the people are 80% of the expenses, the people and their benefits. And if you move those around strategically and help people work in positions in alignment that light up their soul, you can change a business, and especially a small business or even government municipalities. So that's where my background is.
mhm,
I, went from spreadsheet land to this people centered world. I can still really connect the dots through strategy, but I really love people and I love
mm.
helping businesses hire with grace, um, lead with energy, and fire. I love firing.
I feel like we could have a whole podcast episode on that.
Well, we could, and I'm happy to talk about that. I love firing. I love pouring oxygen into businesses, and often that can mean hiring.
Mhm,
Often that can mean leading in a different way and scaling
mhm,
a business through systems, but often it means firing the breadcrumbs and getting rid of what no longer serves or what
mm.
has been in misalignment. And that doesn't necessarily, I say fire. Sometimes that's like I'm referred to as the velvet hammer in the firing world
Okay.
because you can fire with grace. In fact, it can be done extremely compassionately. I am
Mm,
known for people to come up and hug me after they have resigned. Usually I do forced resignations.
okay.
Because I get to know them and I see that there is misalignment on their end too, not just within the companies. And then
Mm,
that person leaves, and then we see this oxygen flow into a business, and all the other leaders and the team really come alive and step forward. And maybe you'll hire somebody new, and maybe you won't. But
mhm,
I have found that that is one of the best ways to pour oxygen into our businesses. And that could be like getting rid of all the multiple subscriptions. It doesn't have to be with people, it can be
yeah,
with systems,
yep.
right? We often think of it as this like, oh, firing. But where in your life are you duplicating
Mhm,
systems or maybe you want to have the better system that's more expensive and you're going with the breadcrumb system. So
mhm.
that's what I love to do. And I have
Uh,
a podcast,
yep.
and we talk a lot about these things in the podcast.
So the power of oxygen first. Let's talk about the oxygen first because I feel like that is so integral to who you are and what you do
Mhm,
and what I know you for. So I mean,
mhm,
oxygen first, pilot makes sense, but can you tell
mhm.
us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I started flying back when I thought of that like tree falling from the sky and
Mhm,
smashing me. Right. I very quickly went to ground school and then started taking private pilot lessons. And then fast forward about 10 years from then, maybe a little less, give or take,
mhm,
I was flying an airplane one day alone. I was doing what we call touch and goes. And when
mhm,
you do a touch and go, you land and then full throttle and then go back up in the air and go back in the flight pattern and come back down and land again, right? And you're just practicing landings because landings are the hard part of flying, the very hard
mhm,
part, right? For the complicated part that takes a lot of precision. So I was doing that. I was a mom of probably a 3.5-year-old little boy at the time. I was a single mom, and I was a CFO of a rocket engine test facility at the time. It
Oh,
was
wow.
a pressured job with a lot of workplace drama. I had rocket scientists working for us, which is a whole different breed of people
Mhm,
to work with, right? We worked with NASA, all the things. It was a fun job. But I was the type of person at the time that was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to run a couple miles and work out before making homemade food, before taking my kid to daycare at 7:30 in the morning, before headed to my job, and then working all day, picking him up at 5:30 after school, and then coming home, feeding him, getting him to bed, working a couple more hours till about 1 in the morning, right? Like I got really far in life through grit and hard work. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
any different. My nervous system
Mm.
didn't know any different than this way of being. And I was also an accounting professor at the local
Oh
college.
my
Like,
gosh. Wow.
you know, and I didn't think a lot about it. I was
Mm-hmm.
early 30s. I'm a really high energy person. And, I just was doing it. And then I came in for a landing and I don't know what happened, but I kind of crashed. I smashed
Wow.
that tail or the front of the airplane really hard. And then I realized I was at the end of the runway. Meanwhile, I live in Colorado, so I was on top of a mountain at the end of a runway, which meant I was about to go off the edge. So I had to full throttle, was my only option. Off the edge of a mountain, right? Like there,
Mm-hmm.
there's definite death in my
Yeah.
future if that had happened. So I ended up full throttling, doing what we call a go around and so a do over. And I did an emergency radio call and said, like, I think the engine's on fire. I smashed so hard.
Oh
What if
wow.
the prop isn't working? All these things. Well, it was fine. My flight instructor or whoever was in the airplane hangar at the time was like, "You're fine. Get your shit together and do a go around. You have 5 minutes or whatever it was. I think I had like 2.5 minutes to get my shit together, to regroup, to breathe, and to land the damn plane because I'm the only one who's going to land." So I did. And I remember right after I finally landed it, I was sitting there and I was like, oh my goodness, there's a lot that needs to change in my life. This isn't sustainable. This isn't
Mm.
working. I'm tired. I just
Mm.
nearly crashed an airplane and I didn't even know. It's like when you're driving a car and you end up somewhere and you kind of
Mm-hmm.
forget the whole drive. Well, I did that flying an airplane. You can't do that flying an airplane, right? Like
No.
you need to be present. And I felt like I just was not present in the now in my life. It was about building this future. It was about like my kid being older and finally maybe sleeping through the night, which he didn't do till he was 4.5. Um, so at that moment is when I realized pilots have to put on their oxygen mask first if something bad is happening in the airplane, right? We do not put it on our passengers. We are the only person who can land the airplane. And
Mm.
I am the only person who can land the airplane in my life. I am in charge of oxygen first. And for me, right away, that meant I broke up with whoever I was dating at the time. He was like breadcrumbs again.
Yeah.
And I knew my hip had been hurting for a really long time, 14 years. And I ended up having major hip surgery. I quit that job. I, I, that's when I switched to HR. My next job
Mm-hmm.
was a school director, a school HR director, school district. And, I changed my life and I started going to therapy. And I
Mm.
just realized I had all these big emotions in my body that I wasn't facing, wasn't dealing with, right? Like it was just this moment where it was like, wait a second, you have to heal and do the work, and doing more is not healing you.
Mm.
It's in fact like, completely draining your life. So I started doing that in my life. I learned through that process. I ended up having hip surgery and um I was alone. I didn't have a boyfriend. I didn't have a spouse. I didn't have somebody to come take care of my kiddo. My mom was supposed to come take care of him while I was going to fly to Denver and have major hip surgery and be down for a week before I could even come back home. And, it wasn't like I could take my kid with me. It wasn't one of those.
Yeah.
And she canceled like 2 days before my
Oh
hip
my
surgery.
gosh.
And, it's not uncommon in my life with my mother.
Okay.
She is low functioning. I've always had to be high functioning. She
Oh.
has manic depression,
Mm.
um, and a very hard teenage life and a lot of trauma in her, and functions at a very low level. Well, she canceled. And I went to my therapist and I was like, isn't that just like my mom, right? Like to not show up for
Yeah.
me. And it was true. And she said, okay, this is your opportunity to learn to ask for help. And we're going to rewire your brain regarding asking and
Mm.
knowing that people will actually show up for you. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, bullshit. Bullshit, are people going to show up for me? I can do it all. I'll figure this out. I'll take my kid with me, right? My default setting was
Yeah.
independence. Do it all. That being
Like a
said, I
hyper
know.
responsibility.
Yeah, I know things are more efficient and productive in teams.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, right? I love teams. I was always a team sport athlete. And she was like, you're going to go home and make a list of all the people and all the things you will need help with for the next 6 months because I wasn't going to be able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to have to relearn how to walk once I was weight bearing again after 6 to 8 weeks. Well, that's hard with a little kiddo living in the house. Like I have amazing video of Dominic doing the laundry for
Oh.
us at the time, like taking it from the bottom to the top and throwing it in and just feeling like he could help. But, I had to make this list of people who could bring me food, drive me to and from work,
Mm-hmm.
um, take my kid to preschool every day. And this is before DoorDash would bring food, and this is before we had grocery deliveries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the list. And then I had to have somebody drive me to physical therapy every day for 6 months. Well, eventually, after like 3 or 4 months, I could drive. But I had to make the list, and I did. And it was life changing. Because what turns out is when we ask for help in
Yeah.
any capacity, in any way, even if that's with teams that we've hired, it is an equal exchange of energy. We ask, and they are able to give. And when
Mm-hmm.
you are sick and or when you have a sick friend and they say, I need help, and you're able to like make them soup and take it to them, who
Yeah.
gets more filled up? Probably you for making the soup, right? And so what it did is it enriched my relationships with my neighbors, with my friends, with all kinds of people. And several people that helped me then ended up passing away a couple of years later. And I have these memories of the
Mm-hmm.
things we did together because I asked, like them driving me to
Mm-hmm.
physical therapy. It was life changing.
I think that's like one of the it's such an important lesson to learn about asking for help because I think we're often disappointed when people don't just step up and it's like, well, no, people can't read our minds. We have to ask.
Mhm,
Um, and I think it is very easy to get pulled into that hyper responsibility. Well, I have to
mhm,
do it all. I have to figure it out. I can't,
mhm, mhm,
especially if it sounds like, you grew up where you couldn't rely on someone. So
mhm,
you did have to do that.
mhm,
That's my whole work is about looking at those patterns that started so young that we then pull into
mhm.
adulthood and how they don't serve us anymore. So it's like you broke that pattern by exactly that, rewiring to say, oh, well, I have to ask for help.
Right. And now here I am. I have
Hmm.
my own podcast called The Power of Oxygen First, and it's all
Yeah.
about energy first. How do we take care of ourselves first? How do we heal these parts of ourselves? How do we learn to ask? How do we learn to
Hmm.
receive? Sometimes how do we give? Right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you. people should ask. But when people are in extreme trauma, extreme
Mm-hmm.
grief, they
Mm-hmm.
cannot. And it is our
Absolutely.
job to just show up. I know when I have friends going through a divorce, when I have friends that have a sudden death or a death in the family,
Mm-hmm.
it's not fair for me to ask them to tell me what to do.
No, I think it's a balance. I
It
think
is.
it's a balance of knowing when to ask and when knowing when someone needs you to show up without them asking. I think actually maybe the more important thing in that is who you are surrounding yourself with. And
Absolutely.
it's and who you have the expectation. I think there's the people in our life who you're always going to have to ask. They're never going to show up. Maybe they'll show up
Correct.
when you do ask, but
Correct.
they're so caught up in their own world that they're not going to see when you need help. And then there are the people who are probably a little bit more connected to you, a little bit more close to you, and who are going to, like, I can think
Mm,
about the situation that I'm having with our house and our basement. I mean, this is a minor situation in the grand scheme of things, but it's like I have that one friend who just every other day just sends me a message like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And like
mhm.
that's the person I know I don't have to ask. She's there for me. She knows when I'm going through a tough time
Right.
and she's going to check in. And that's just who she is and that's the nature of our friendship. So I think it's the two things. It's like the balance
Mhm. Mhm.
of when, and it's also the people who are in your
Mhm.
life. And if even if you
Yeah,
have that one person who shows up without you asking, like you just need the one.
absolutely. I mean, you know, it in part the exercise I went through with my therapist was to make a list of
Hmm.
essentially safe people,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then it turned out that my next door neighbor, like, was able to come over when I had weird emergencies, like the lamp next to my bed got unplugged under the bed. Well, I'm like basically immobile. I can't get to that, right?
Mm.
He needed to come over when I was like in a kind of compromising situation and help with that. Then all of a sudden one day, the beans, something went bad in the fridge. Like you could smell it bad. I could hardly walk. He came
Yeah.
over and like investigated and found that it was like
Oh.
black beans that had gone wrong in the fridge. But it is interesting. Like the list was the safe people,
Yeah.
right? So know who's on your team.
Yeah.
Know who's not on
And
your
that's it.
team.
Yeah.
And I think release the resentment towards the people who really can't.
Yep.
Release it because you have a time in your life that you also can't show up for people also, right? Like
Mm.
I am a single parent raising a kid alone while having a business, while having just moved to a new city. I have a lot going on. I am
Hmm.
not necessarily the person that is showing up for people in deep need right now,
Mm. Hmm.
right? I'm not just showing up at doorsteps. And many times in my life, I am that person. But I think you need to know your inventory of people and be brave enough to ask, but also be brave enough to receive.
Yeah.
Like when your friend says, "How are you doing? What can I do?" And you know in your heart of hearts what would be helpful to you right now.
Hmm.
You have to ask.
Yeah.
That is hard.
Oh, it's very, very hard, especially when you have a pattern of hyper responsibility or sort of taking care of everything.
Mhm.
I think it's hard for most of us, but when you've sort of been in that pattern for so long, it almost feels unsafe because you're not used to it. We like what's familiar, even if it's not helpful.
Well, and I mean, it feels really safe for me to do it myself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no rejection in that, but the hypervigilance and the hyper independence is not actually safe to my body long term.
No,
My nervous system is not going to be able to sustain this. I
no.
now have an autoimmune disease. And when I got that, when I was diagnosed with that, I was taken out. And then my liver failed, and I was put on a transplant list. And that, like
Hmm.
all these things happened. It was heavy, it was hard. And I believe a lot of that is because I have carried so much and done so much in my
Mm-hmm.
life and rested so little.
Yeah.
My nervous system cannot handle all of it, all
So
of the
what do
doing.
you, yeah. So what are the things that you do? Like what have you put in place to take care of your nervous system and make sure that you are taking care of yourself?
Well, rest is like my constant thing that is hard for me, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I call it the couch hold, getting on the couch to make sure it won't fly away. Like
Mm-hmm.
I even had to coin it something so it felt like I was doing something, quite
Mm-hmm.
frankly. Like, like I'm holding the couch down. It might fly away this weekend, right?
I'm helping the couch out.
I'm holding the couch. Like tell me you're codependent without telling me you're codependent, number one. But yeah, so first of all, a lot of my practices start with morning practices. I had to start waking up really before my son did and do slow grounding things rather than wake up before my son did and jump on the treadmill and run sprints. I can run sprints later,
Yep.
but maybe not every day, right? So, that grounding practice, I have a gratitude practice right when I wake up. I think of 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for. Then I get out of bed. I don't turn to my screen. Um, I get my coffee or warmed lemon water, and I journal. I like to do
Mm-hmm.
morning pages and just dump it out, like whatever it is. I hope to God when I die, people don't find all my morning pages because they can be hateful. They can be, they're raw and they're honest in the moment. It's just getting
Mm-hmm.
out those feelings, whatever they
Mm-hmm.
are, whatever the chaos is. And then I feel more peaceful. I will do a meditation quickly, or what I love to do is energy showers every day.
Hmm.
I
What?
turn on I
Tell
turn
me
on the
about that,
same
because
music. Let me tell
okay,
you what an energy shower is.
I've
I
never heard that
discovered this from
before.
a friend of mine,
Hmm.
has a YouTube video on it. I'll have to send it to
Hmm.
you. Maybe we
Hmm.
can put it in the show notes.
I was
But
gonna say send it. Yeah.
this is a woman that I met in a mountain biking class,
Okay.
like years ago. I had no idea she did this for a living, but one day it was like looked up energy showers and found that she's got this great YouTube channel. So, you know.
Hmm.
Anyway, what you do for an energy shower is if you think about it, we take showers to clean ourselves, right? But
Yep.
energetically, it's such a great practice to do that as well. So I close my eyes and I will like softly touch my hands like this. If you do this back and forth, you feel
Hmm.
this like quite this sensation, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Or rub my hands, something like that, right? Like there's just this like, oh, it's kind of nice. It's like when somebody's like rubbing your feet. So
Yeah. It
I will do
feels.
that. And then what I want to do is close my eyes and envision light pouring into my head, like on top of my head. And I
Hmm.
see this vision of myself as a little 7-year-old girl, full of fire, little redhead, right? Curly red hair. And I'm spinning and I'm having fun, and no one is telling me to stop.
Hmm.
No one is telling me I can't be that girl. And I'm just filled with joy and smiling, right? Like I can see her. And I'm at this specific place that is like my happy place from my childhood. I see this. And there's golden retrievers running around in the fields and there's wildflowers everywhere. And I see this image of this. And I let this light pour in on me, and then I'm wanting to cleanse from the top of my head through all of my body. And I'll
Hmm.
keep doing the hand thing. I always turn on the same exact song when I do this. I don't know that you have to have music, but there's something about it that works for me. It's like it's
Hmm.
just instrumental. I play the song and I just am like one spot of my body at a time. I let it clear. I'm like, okay, clear my brain of all these wild thoughts so that I can think clearly.
Hmm.
Then I breathe and I'm breathing through it all. Clear my nose so that I can smell what's around me, so that I can
Hmm.
have my scent. Clear my jaw so that it isn't stiff, clear my neck, you know, and I do this and I go through my whole body. And it's pretty quick actually, like after you do it for a bit, just this clearing, like clear this. And then I get to the tip of my toes, right? And like clear my feet, clear my toes so that when I step on the ground, I feel rooted and I feel grounded. Or just say
Mm.
whatever it is that's on my heart. Like, and you'll feel like you'll get to your heart or somewhere and you'll just be like, it's going to need a few more breaths, right? And it takes me a little bit of time. And then, of course, all these intrusive thoughts come in. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
gotta pack my kids' lunch. Up. And you just like, yes, I do. And you keep going through your cleansing. You're just trying to take an energy shower. And you can also take energy showers in the shower, right? You
Yeah.
can do the same thing. You don't have to do this sitting in bed. Meanwhile, I'm sipping my coffee while I'm doing this, right? And the dog's laying next to me. And I do that. And then as soon as I'm done, I say 5 things I am really grateful for. And just I feel the emotions of that deep gratitude. Like I'm so grateful for my home right now. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for safety and security. I'm so grateful that my dog is healthy and happy next to me and we get to go for walks today. And I'm so grateful that I have legs,
Yeah.
that I can walk. I'm so grateful for my health, right? Sorry. So I say
No.
these things and it brings up these emotions in me. And it's just like, I'm so grateful for the leaves that are blowing outside, right? I'm
Yeah.
so grateful. There's so much to be grateful for because there's also like so much hard in our lives,
Yeah.
right? But it's my moment to just be grateful for what is. It doesn't mean there's not like a lot of hard. I have a lot of hard in my life still. I do that. And then I think about how my day is going to go
Mm.
and how my day is going to then impact 3 things: my
Mm.
clients, how that will ripple, how would I do, how recording my podcast could change people's lives, how that will
Yeah.
ripple, how that energy will flow. I think of how that can change the world. That's my second thing. How
Mm.
my impact, how I show up today will change things. And then I think of how it'll impact my son and how he'll
Mm.
impact the world. And it's like this beautiful practice that is actually like, it sounds really long because I just had to explain it. You
No,
can
of
do it
course.
really
Yeah.
quickly. I'm breathing through it. Like I will do like, you know, a 4-part breath, a hold and let it
Mm-hmm.
out. Or sometimes I'm just breathing through each part. Takes just a few minutes. And I have found that when I do so, my ability to manifest miracles, bold miracles, increases rapidly.
Mm.
But it's hard because it's easier to like sleep in,
Mm-hmm.
get my kid to school, come home, go do a workout, and then, oh, all the client calls are coming in. Like these morning practices of grounding are hard to be committed to. I think we hear of them as like, oh, I meditate every day. Oh, I mean, for me, this is like a 30-minute
Yeah.
deal, including peeing, washing my face, and like getting my coffee. So it's not like it's hard
Yeah.
from that perspective, but that is how I first put on my oxygen mask first.
Yeah.
Then I have supplements and I like eat healthy and I do all these other things throughout the day, but that is my morning practice is really profound and special to me.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And I think, like you said, like, oh, people who say I meditate every day. I think it's like learn. Like, I mean, the whole point of this podcast is for us to learn from each other, but take what works for you. But it doesn't mean you have to replicate. I think there's this pressure. It's like, well, they do this, I need to do that too. I need to replicate it. And it's like, no, like, because for me, mornings don't work. I wake up incredibly early just as it is.
Right.
And I can't get up earlier than that without feeling like a wreck. Evening, right before bed for me is my time. And I'm not, I've tried so many times. I'm like, well, I should do it more. Everybody does morning routines. I should do a morning routine. No, just
No, you
find what
know that
works
you
for
shouldn't.
you.
You
Yeah.
have to. You
It's,
have to. And I feel like when I listen to podcasts and I hear these like little nuggets,
yeah.
that like pop in, that's fine. Some
Hmm.
of them were called to and some of them were not,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
And what grounds me might not ground you.
Hmm.
And there's plenty of other things I do. Like sometimes I just like take my shoes off and go walk around in the dirt outside.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go read a book sitting against a tree.
Yeah.
Now, am I still doing? Yes, because it's really hard for me not to do. But like it is wildly uncomfortable for me to read a fiction book in the middle of the day and go
Mm.
sit up against a tree. And sometimes that's what I need to do when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yep.
Because it's like, no, 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 you do not need to do more. You need to receive and
Mm.
surrender and let your angel team do more while you
Mm.
recuperate, while you get grounded, while you rest.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's you just trial and error, figure out what works.
Yeah.
What, see, for me, leaning against a tree and reading in the middle of the day, I could do that for hours. Like, leave me there. You'll find me like with cobwebs growing on me. And if I have a stack of books, like that is wonderful to me. But again, to get up early in the morning and do this whole thing, I couldn't do. So it's very much figure out
Hmm.
what works for you as an individual. And we learn it through trial and error. We learn it like you say, like you figure it out as you went, about getting up earlier than your son, and sort of how do
Hmm.
you make it work for you?
It's helpful for me to not wake up and serve immediately.
Yeah,
Wake up and do for others. I think I'm too good at that. And
yeah.
it's a time of the day where I really need to pour into myself first so that I don't get resentful, so that I don't feel anger,
Mm,
right? So that I can, and I've noticed like when I do that versus when I don't, we have those little tips in the afternoon if
mm,
I don't do it that don't exist because I don't have the level of like self-sacrifice. I'm doing everything for you. You should be grateful.
mhm,
Like it doesn't flare up as much for me when I'm doing a really good job of nourishing myself. And I'm not saying I wake up. I don't even, it's been a couple of days since I did it because my son's been like got the braces on and he's
mhm,
had stuff going on that's a little different, right? So I know that I have to pause and ask myself during the day, what do I need?
mm,
What would nourish me right now and or today? And that can change
yeah,
on an hourly basis, right? And it's really helpful to be like, no, what do I need most right now in this moment? And having an autoimmune disease, I had an
yes,
really bad flare last week. That meant I didn't go to all of the work calls.
yep,
I cleared a lot of my schedule. I took naps during the day when normally I would be working or walking. Like I love to walk the dog and I
yeah,
solve client problems while I'm walking the dog, right? Or when I go to the gym. I cleared all of my workouts. I love to go work out. I feel strong when I do. I solve client problems. I think of ideas to podcast. But last week it was about like legs on the wall. Get in your bed. Drink a green juice.
yeah. That right now resonates with me so much because I very much think, oh well, I have to do everything, and I have to maintain a certain, like, I'm constantly kind of fighting that natural
Mhm.
inclination to just work, do it all. But with everything that's up here, like with, we have this basement flood that's a just its own situation, and then things with my mother-in-law, and just like life things.
Right.
This week
Mhm.
I've had to, like, and it's going to be more than this week. I know it's going to be longer than this week, to say to myself, okay, like, what what is, like, I can't there's no negotiating. Like it's on the schedule, and it's just like I can't move it. What can be moved? Where can I build in more time
Mm-hmm.
for myself? And especially as someone else who has an autoimmune
Mm-hmm.
disease, we know that stress can be such a huge trigger for
Yeah, and even
flares.
if it's life stress,
Absolutely, any
you
kind of
can't
stress.
control that your basement
No,
flooded, right?
no,
But you can control your response to that. You
hundred
can
percent.
control who you ask to help you.
Yep,
You can control who you delegate to
yep,
and what you delegate. And I get it, like all kinds of stuff comes up. I mean, I teach people how to delegate and hire support.
yep.
All kinds of stuff comes up for people when we talk about delegation. I
Mm,
can't afford it. But really, can you not? Because what is the cost on your body? What is the
mm,
cost on your family? What is the cost on your emotions, right? When you do it all,
yeah.
there is a cost there.
Yes, there is.
Like I have what we call a support and breathe return on investment calculator. That's like my
Mm,
freebie for people to go check out, right? And you download this spreadsheet and it walks you through what is your current rate of pay, like even as an entrepreneur, or like it'll do your hourly rate of pay if you're a salaried person working in corporate world, right? You can add that up and it'll give you a number and it's like $50 an hour. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And then anything below that, you delegate.
mm,
Otherwise, it's costing you revenue generating time.
mm,
You could be making money. You could be building your website. You could be like whatever that is, right? Now, does that mean like you should be building your own website? Maybe, maybe not. I also would argue like if it's not your zone of genius, probably don't be building your website. I mean, you can if you kind of enjoy it, it's not soul sucking, right? But
mm-hmm,
there are parts of our business that really need us to pour in because that's our genius versus doing it all, right?
yeah,
And delegation, though, is hard,
yeah. Well, because
especially
it's
when
again
you
the control.
control. Like
Yeah.
codependency is often seen in entrepreneurs because of that factor of this I can do it all and I can do it better. Hello, you're controlling other people still.
Yeah. Oh, so many. I feel like there's been so many nuggets that we've through so far. I mean, I would love to know from you what are lessons that you feel like you. I mean, we've talked about the lessons you feel like you've learned. Like, is there something, if you could go back to like younger Dot, like something that you would go back and tell her?
Huh, that's hard. I've had a lot of life lived.
Yeah.
Um, I think a couple of things come to mind. Um, I just think this, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Oh, I've been divorced twice.
Mm,
I never thought I would be divorced twice. I wanted to have four baby boys. I wanted to be a mom. Wanted to have a house full of dogs. And, life has been a little different than that. I've
yeah.
never thought I would raise a child alone. Um, but I have a really good life. Like it's really beautiful. I love it. And I would tell I, I call her little Dorothy, my full name is Dorothy. I call it like go do the thing. Fly the
Mm,
airplane. Do the thing that your heart desires the most. I know in my business and in my clients' businesses, when I get them to do the thing, buy the e-bike, ride the bike, bake the sourdough bread, whatever it is that makes no sense, that you think is taking from your earning, you're actually making money when you do those things.
mm,
Do the thing. Go on the trip. Every time I've planned a trip with my son that I can't afford, I end up manifesting so much money because I planned the
mm,
trip. because we went on the trip, right? Because it's like I took a leap of faith on myself.
Yeah.
2 years ago, right at the beginning of my divorce, my second divorce, the sudden one, um, I did this angel reading with a friend. Like this is like
Okay.
angel session or whatever. Have we done one of those?
I have not. No.
Okay, well, it was my first and only. I would
Okay.
love to do another. And she does this angel session and she tells you like afterwards, she's like, well, this guy was in your angel session. And I'm like, oh well, and she like describes it. And then I was so pissed off that my grandma Dorothy, my namesake, was not in my angel session. Like, what is she doing not being there? Okay. And then I heard this voice that said very clearly, go to Paris. Okay. Paris is always a good idea. My grandma and I always said this to each other. Paris is always a good idea. We always believed like you should just go to Paris. We loved going to Paris. We never ended up getting to go together. That last trip we had planned, she passed away before we went.
Well.
So, a couple, I was like, I cannot go to Paris right now. What are you talking about? Like this voice that just said, go to Paris. I hear her voice say, go to Paris. I'm like, you didn't even show up in my angel session. Why are you telling me to go to Paris? I don't want to go to, I do want to go to Paris, but like, I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
I don't even have a place to live right now. I don't have money in my bank account. I'm trying, like, I was not prepared to suddenly get divorced. I was over sacrificing in that, right? Which is why my bank account was like,
Oh gosh.
anyway, I can't go to Paris. And I was like, and then I heard this, like, huh, you sure can if you manifest a trip to Paris. And I was like, all right, bring it. Let's manifest a trip to Paris. I believe that could happen. Like, I was like, well, I could manifest anything. I could manifest a trip to Paris. A couple days later, my childhood best friend, Amy, she called me and she said, hey, we were supposed to go to Paris. My parents were going to take me. Meanwhile, she's disabled. She's a quad amputee. She got meningitis when we turned 30, lost her legs and her hands and her kidneys. Very much like Amy Purdy, who's a very famous Paralympian with the same situation. And she's like, yeah, my parents are supposed to take me. My dad's sick. My dad wants to know, like, will you go? Can he send us?
Wow.
And I was like, your dad's going to send us to Paris? She's like, yeah, it's like 12 days, but it's in a couple of weeks. Like, do you have a passport? And I was like, yeah, I have a passport. I always have my passport ready. I'm always ready for an adventure. And she's like, can you go? And I was like, yes, I can. And now I had to do the next step, which was ask people to take care of Dominic. It was like school was still in session. So it was either like take Dominic, which I asked him, do you want to go? And he was like, no, I don't want to miss school. I
Yeah.
love school, which he was a fifth grader. He should have missed school to go to Paris with us. But we went to Paris.
Wow.
We took that trip and like we were laying in the bed one night in our hotel and she goes, little Amy and little Dorothy are so very proud of us right now.
Oh.
We're women in our 40s and we are laying in a bed in Paris, France together.
Oh, I love that.
So take the trip, like do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
honor the call because whatever is placed inside of us is there for a reason. Whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it makes sense. The more it doesn't make sense, the better it is, probably. But do the thing. Get the coloring book. Take the painting class. Go sing. Become an opera singer. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are. Do the thing.
Maybe you're telling me to do my thing. I trained in like classical and opera singing when I was younger, and I stopped doing it because I was working and I had no time and da 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 da. And I always just have this like, I should start singing again. So it's like, I love that you said opera singer. I'm like, maybe that's
Well,
my
it's funny.
sign.
Somebody, like, in my head kind of told me to mention, I heard, like, say opera singer. I wouldn't know. That's not like a line I normally say. I'm sure it was. brought to you by your angels through me somehow.
Oh,
That's a
that's
lot of what I do in my business is I help people hire, but I have these psychic capabilities. I have this mediumship in me.
mm,
Feels weird, but it's true. It's
mm-hmm.
there. I know things, I hear things, I see things for people, and I help them build businesses around that.
No.
But first, scale your life first. Do the
Mm,
thing, right?
yeah.
Like pour energy in, have good energy practices, take care of yourself, go on walks, like nourish your soul in all the ways.
Mm,
Maybe opera singing.
maybe opera singing.
I've
We'll
been
see.
called lately to, I really want to play volleyball. Okay. I played volleyball in
Okay.
high school. I loved it. It's fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played like sand volleyball on a regular basis, but I moved to a new town and they have some like adult sand volleyball thing. And
Oh.
I'm telling you, I'm an adventure girl. I love people. I'm not very shy, and it's still hard to go do the thing
Mm-hmm.
because we can make up 80 excuses as to why right now is not the right time.
Yeah.
But we do not know how much time we have left.
No. No. I mean, when you hear stories like your friends, like you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So
You don't. I mean, that was
that's
right before our 30th birthday.
yeah.
We were going to Vegas,
Yeah.
and I got a call saying she was in the hospital and she wasn't going to make it, and I needed to fly there. And she's like 0.001% of meningitis survivors with the type that she had that live,
Wow.
but she did.
Mm-hmm.
And but her whole world is different now.
Yeah. But that's the power of oxygen first, Again, it's the do your thing. Make sure you're taking care of yourself first
Do
because
your thing.
yeah.
But also, like when we live like this, it doesn't just serve us. It feels
Yeah.
selfish when we talk about it, but it doesn't just serve us. It actually serves all of us, those around us, and it creates
Absolutely.
this higher vibration that rolls through all. It ripples, right? And so, an example of that is recently my 13-year-old son, who is a competitive baseball player, decided to become a catcher this year. He hasn't been a catcher since he was like 7 or 8 years old, maybe 8. Last time he was a catcher, he broke his shoulder, and then after that, a coach never played him in the position, and so we moved to a new town, and he decided to become a catcher. So he's been working hard at it, and he's doing great. And I said to him while we were driving home, I said, I'm just so proud of you. You're putting in such hard work,
Mm.
and you're so dedicated to this, and you know, I'm really proud to see you try something new. And he goes, "Well, Mom, I watched you start a podcast. It's not like you've ever podcasted before. And now your podcast is one
Oh.
of the top podcasts in the world. So, like, that was just a few years ago. You just did it. Like, I could do stuff like that too."
Oh. How your heart must have been like exploding in that moment.
Well, for sure, like, the fact, like, I felt so seen.
Yeah.
It's not like I started the podcast, like, thinking about him, but I did have the oxygen first practices in my life, and I did know they needed to be shared with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't directly think of that impact on him, that when he was
Yeah.
13, he would decide to try to go be a catcher because mom made a messy podcast. Right? But they watch, they see, people
Yeah.
see you do brave things, and they will also do brave things if you do brave things. If you go
Absolutely.
start doing this opera thing, what I can promise is you will inspire countless other women to go
Yeah.
out and do the thing. I think that's how we pour love into the world. I think that's how we change the world.
Yeah. Well,
Oxygen first.
oxygen. What I say a lot in my business is if again, also, it feels selfish, but when you take care of yourself first, then you're just showing up better for everybody else. You're not showing
Yeah,
up
I mean,
resentful. You're not showing up exhausted. You're not showing up all the things. You're showing up the best version of yourself. So saying, well, it's selfish to take care of myself, like, I'm going to call bullshit on that.
it is bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
it's actually selfish not to. Let's
Hmm.
change that. Let's
Yeah. I
stop.
love that.
Let's stop being like freaking martyrs.
Yep.
Like, oh, and then I did that. Stop. Set some personal boundaries.
Yeah.
Don't be a martyr in your life
Yeah.
and take care of yourself. Like, we cannot pour from empty cups. But
Yep.
when you see people like pour into cups that are overflowing, that's a beautiful thing. We
Yeah.
can pour from overflow. And when we enrich our own selves and our own lives, and whatever that is, whether that's like physical wellness, spiritual, emotional, all of it, I do breath work a lot because it
Hmm.
helps me release what is feeling stuck. I do tapping fairly often.
Yeah.
But do I do it all the time? No, but I have a number of tools in my
Yep.
toolkit that I can go to, that I can bring out, that I can teach my son, and I get to pour from a full cup most of the time. I also
Hmm.
no longer believe in overwhelm.
Hmm. Say more about
I
that.
believe overwhelm is bullshit.
Interesting.
I realized I was constantly feeling overwhelmed. And I finally set a personal boundary with myself, and I made a note
Mm.
card, like a 3x5 note card that I carry around. I actually have a picture of it now on my phone, right? And basically it says, okay, overwhelm. And it's like a little story I wrote to overwhelm. And it's like, hey, one, this is an old story. What are the tools you have to deal with
Mm.
this? Okay, number one, brain dump. Number two, ask for help, right? It has it's like a little SOP, like a little standard operating process for when I feel this bullshit in my world that's called overwhelm, that I
Hmm.
like go to a lot because I put myself there, by the way. But,
Yeah.
right, like I had to like set a boundary that, like, no, I am no longer available to overwhelm. And
Hmm.
when it hits, when I feel some of that, I have to like pull out my note card and be like, all right, one of the options on the thing is like go read a book outside in the middle of this.
Hmm.
Brain dump, take a nap, rest, like, and then, a couple other steps with it. But essentially, I had to stop this narrative, this martyrdom of feeling overwhelmed.
Interesting.
Because it was like my go to emotion.
Mm. Hmm.
But you can set boundaries around these common triggers that we have in our own lives,
Yeah.
and like, does it mean I don't get overwhelmed? No, of course I do. I'm human. I'm raising a kid alone.
Yeah.
But breathe.
It's overwhelm is kind of one of those emotions that just feels all consuming. So it's sort of like you're saying, it's like just stop, breathe, break it down. And that's
Break it
what I'm
down.
hearing. Break it down.
Break it
What
down.
is
And
it
what is your
what is
breakdown?
within
It's
my
gonna be different than
control?
my breakdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what is within your
Mm-hmm.
control to do? Because again, overwhelm, all consuming. So let's stop,
Mm-hmm.
breathe, and break it down to what can I do right now? One thing or two
Like,
things. And
one of the things on my overwhelm list is draw a mind map. Draw a mind map of the thing, of the work. Like, you're
mm,
changing your whole business right now, right? Like, mind map
mm,
it. Then chop wood, carry water to
mm,
get through it. Like one micro action at a time, one messy action at a time. It it will change the world. Like, I'm
yeah.
like every day I'm like, okay, I just have to do 3 things in my business today. 30-minute things. That's it. It keeps moving the needle. I don't have more
Mm,
time than that.
yeah.
I just don't. I wish I did. But really, like, I am raising a kid alone, and The joy of my life is to be able to pick him up from school at 3:40 and make snacks and then be my Uber
Yeah.
mom shift and take him to practices
Yep.
and be present because I don't want to miss it. He's already 13. I want to be present. I don't
Mm.
want to be overwhelmed.
I want to ask you one last thing. Time goes so fast when we're chatting.
What happened?
I know. How has it been an hour? Honestly, it has gone by so quickly. So, for anyone listening, I think the best way to direct them is to your podcast. No?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go check out The Power of Oxygen First on my pod or on Apple and Spotify. I think it's on like all of them actually, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, The Power of Oxygen First. And also my website's pretty encompassing. Um, .rockconsulting.com. That's where the little freebie is, the support and breathe calculator that people can download. And it
Love
walks
it.
people through like the price points of delegating and then talks about there's plenty of free things to delegate. You can ask your neighbor to swap with your kids or walk your dog
Mm-hmm.
while you walk your dog next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's just a fun tool that's available for free.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dot, for being for having me on the Power of Oxygen First, and also for being on Inspired Questions. I really have loved getting to know you better.
Love it. Thank you. I've really loved getting to know you as well.
I loved that conversation with Dot. What stayed with me wasn't just the airplane story. It was how many times throughout our conversation we found ourselves coming back to the same thing. How easy it is to fall into the patterns of hyper responsibility, independence, and believing we have to carry everything ourselves. I know that is something I've had to work on in my own life, and it's something I see all the time in the women that I work with too. The truth is, most of us have learned those patterns for a reason. They helped us get through difficult situations, they help keep us safe, but eventually they stop protecting us and they start exhausting us. I think that's why Dot's message of oxygen first resonates with me so much. Not because it's about putting yourself first at the expense of everyone else, but it's about recognizing that you cannot keep pouring from an empty cup and then expect to thrive. If you'd like to connect with Dot, you can find her at rockconsulting.com or listen to her podcast, The Power of Oxygen First. All the links will be in the show notes. And if this conversation resonated with you, I hope that you will like, download, subscribe, do all the things, and share this podcast with some more women. These conversations really, really matter. I also have a free resource guide called Not Broken, Buried. And it's a guide and grounding meditation for women who are tired of pushing harder and they want to start finding their way back to themselves. That's going to be in the show notes as well. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen and spend it with me and with Dot. And I think what I want to leave you with is just remember, we are not meant to do this alone. Stay grounded.